Some employees even avoided standing next to him in the elevator because they thought he smelled like cleaning chemicals. Adrian never reacted. He simply observed. Every smile, every insult, every act of kindness. Then one rainy Tuesday morning, everything changed. Emma Carter stepped through the revolving doors, carrying a stack of heavy files and an old canvas handbag. At 29 years old, she worked as an administrative assistant in the finance department. Unlike most women in the company, Emma never tried to impress anyone. She wasn't thin. She wasn't dressed in expensive designer clothes. Her white blouse had been carefully ironed that morning, while her simple black skirt had already started showing signs of wear from years of use. She tied her long dark brown hair into a loose ponytail before every shift and wore almost no makeup. Many co-workers whispered about her weight whenever she walked past. Some called her lazy. Others joked that no successful man would ever look twice at someone like her. Emma heard every word. She simply smiled and continued working, because after years of caring for her sick mother before she passed away, cruel comments no longer hurt as much as they once did. As she reached the lobby staircase, one of her folders slipped from her arms. Dozens of important documents scattered across the polished marble floor. Several executives looked down, then stepped over the papers without helping. One woman even sighed dramatically. Maybe carry fewer things next time. Emma quietly knelt to gather everything. Before she could reach the last file, another hand picked it up. She looked up. The maintenance worker, Adrian. He handed the folder back with a small smile. I think this one's important. Emma smiled warmly. Thank you. She noticed grease stains on his hands, but didn't hesitate to accept the file. Most people would have avoided touching him. She didn't. Their fingers brushed for only a second. Something strange happened. For the first time in months, Adrian felt someone treating him like a human being instead of an inconvenience. Emma stood and laughed softly. I make this mess at least once every week. You handled it better than I would. She blinked. You? I'm terrible with paperwork. She smiled again. I'll remember that. As she disappeared into the elevator, Adrian watched the doors close. Marco's voice quietly came through the hidden earpiece beneath Adrian's collar. So? Adrian kept staring at the elevator. What? Marco chuckled. That's the first genuine smile you've had in months. Adrian ignored him. It meant nothing. Marco laughed. We'll see. Later that afternoon, Emma entered the employee cafeteria carrying a homemade lunch packed in reusable containers. The room buzzed with conversation. Every table seemed full, except one. Near the window sat Adrian, eating a plain sandwich wrapped in paper. Two young accountants nearby whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear. I heard maintenance workers barely make enough to pay rent. The other laughed. Maybe that's why he eats the same sandwich every day. Several people smiled. Adrian remained silent. Emma watched the scene for a moment. Then she walked directly toward him. Mind if I sit here? Adrian looked surprised. You don't have to. I know. She sat anyway, opening her lunchbox. She frowned. I packed way too much food again. She pushed one container toward him. Help me finish it. Adrian hesitated. I couldn't. You can. My grandmother always said food tastes better when it's shared. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Finally, Adrian accepted. Thank you. As they ate together, something unusual happened. No awkward silence. No forced conversation. Emma talked about her love for old books, gardening, and rainy weekends. Adrian found himself smiling more than he had in years. When lunch ended, Emma packed the empty containers. Same time tomorrow? Adrian looked genuinely surprised. You'd eat with me again? She laughed. Only if you promised not to let me eat all the pasta by myself. Before he could answer, she was already walking back toward the elevators. Across the cafeteria, several employees stared in disbelief. One woman shook her head. Why would she waste her lunch break with a janitor? Another smirked. They're probably perfect for each other. They laughed. Neither Adrian nor Emma heard them, but someone else did. Standing quietly near the cafeteria entrance, Marco folded his arms and smiled to himself. For 6 months, Adrian's test had exposed greed, pride, and selfishness. Today, for the first time, someone had passed without even knowing she was taking the test. And neither Adrian nor Emma realized that simple lunch would become the first step toward changing both of their lives forever. The next morning, Emma walked into Carter Holdings carrying the same canvas handbag and homemade lunch she brought every day. As she stepped through the lobby, she noticed Adrian balancing on a ladder while replacing a broken light fixture above a reception desk. Several executives hurried past without even acknowledging him. One impatient manager frowned. Maintenance. That light should have been fixed before employees arrived. Adrian calmly nodded. I'm working on it. The manager rolled his eyes. Maybe work faster. Without another word, he walked away. Emma stopped for a moment. You haven't even finished climbing down the ladder, and they're already complaining. Adrian smiled faintly. I'm used to it. She looked at him with genuine concern. You shouldn't have to be. For a brief second, Adrian forgot he was pretending to be poor. Very few people had ever defended him. Not because they feared him, but because they genuinely believed he deserved respect. Before heading upstairs, Emma quietly placed a cup of fresh coffee beside his toolbox. I figured you might need this. She smiled and disappeared toward the elevators before Adrian could even thank her. He looked down at the warm cup. Marco's voice came through his hidden earpiece. Boss, that's coffee number 3 this week. Adrian tried to hide a smile. I notice. Still think she's only being polite? Adrian didn't answer, but deep inside, something was beginning to change. Later that afternoon, Emma was organizing financial reports when her supervisor entered the office. Emma, yes, Mrs. Collins? We're entertaining investors tomorrow. Emma nodded. I prepared all the documents. Mrs. Collins looked at her carefully before speaking. I need someone presentable at the reception desk. Emma immediately understood. You want someone else. Mrs. Collins sighed awkwardly. The investors expect a certain image. Emma forced a smile. I understand. After years of hearing similar excuses, disappointment no longer showed on her face. I'll prepare the paperwork instead. As soon as her supervisor left, Emma quietly looked down at her reflection in the dark computer monitor. For just a moment, she wondered if everyone saw only her size. That evening, Adrian was repairing an air conditioning unit outside the conference room when he overheard 2 executives talking. Why is Emma still working here? She's efficient. Maybe, but she doesn't exactly fit the company's image. The second executive laughed. If she lost 50 pounds, maybe we'd let her greet clients. Both men walked away laughing. Adrian slowly closed his toolbox. His jaw tightened. Marco immediately noticed his expression through the security cameras. You heard them. Adrian nodded. They don't even know she's the hardest worker in this building. Marco replied quietly. They only see appearances. Adrian stood silently for several seconds. Then he said something Marco hadn't expected. Find out everything about Emma. Marco raised an eyebrow. You mean a background investigation? No, I want to know how she lives. If she's struggling financially, I want to know why. The following evening, Marco entered Adrian's private penthouse. A thick file rested in his hands. You asked for Emma's background. Adrian looked up from the fireplace. What did you find? Marco placed the file on the table. Nothing criminal. In fact, she's probably one of the most honest people I've ever investigated. Adrian opened the file. Photographs showed Emma leaving work every evening. Instead of eating at expensive restaurants, she volunteered twice a week at a neighborhood food pantry. Other photos showed her helping elderly neighbors carry groceries upstairs. Another picture showed her repairing an old bicycle for a little boy living in her apartment building. Adrian looked surprised. She knows how to fix bicycles? Marco smiled. Apparently everything. Another page explained her financial records. Emma earned a modest salary. Most of it disappeared every month paying medical debts left behind after caring for her late mother. She had refused bankruptcy. Instead, she worked overtime every chance she got. Adrian quietly closed the folder. So all this time, She's been carrying everyone else's burdens. Marco nodded and never asked anyone for help. Adrian leaned back. Interesting. The next day, heavy rain flooded much of downtown Manhattan. Employees rushed inside, trying to stay dry. Emma entered completely soaked after giving her umbrella to an elderly woman waiting for the bus. Adrian noticed immediately. "You're drenched." She laughed. "I'll dry. You'll get sick. I've survived worse." Without another word, Adrian disappeared into the maintenance room. Minutes later, he returned holding a clean company jacket. "It's not much, but it's dry." Emma hesitated. "I can't take your only jacket. You can borrow it." She smiled gratefully. "Thank you." She slipped the oversized jacket over her wet blouse. It was several sizes too large. Both of them laughed. "I look ridiculous." Adrian smiled. "I think it suits you." For the first time in years, Emma actually blushed. Their conversation was interrupted by loud footsteps. A glamorous marketing executive named Victoria entered the lobby. She stopped the moment she saw Emma wearing Adrian's jacket. Her eyes narrowed. "You borrowed a janitor's clothes?" Emma answered calmly. "My clothes were soaked." Victoria laughed loudly enough for everyone nearby to hear. "I suppose that's romantic." Several employees chuckled. Emma quietly removed the jacket. "I'll return it." Adrian stepped forward. "No." He took the jacket and gently placed it back over Emma's shoulders. "Keep wearing it." Victoria stared at him. "You actually care?" Adrian looked directly at her. "Everyone deserves kindness." The lobby fell completely silent. Victoria rolled her eyes before walking away. But dozens of employees had witnessed what happened. By lunchtime, rumors spread across the entire building. "The maintenance guy likes Emma." "Did you see them together?" "They've been eating lunch every day." Some people laughed. Others mocked them. Neither Adrian nor Emma paid attention. That evening, as Emma prepared to leave work, she discovered one of her car tires completely flat. She sighed. "Not today." Adrian happened to be walking through the parking garage. "What happened?" She pointed toward the tire. "I guess I'm walking home." Without hesitation, Adrian knelt beside the car. "You don't have to." "I know, but I'm doing it anyway." 20 minutes later, the tire was replaced. Emma smiled warmly. "I owe you dinner." Adrian looked at her. "You don't owe me anything." She shook her head. "My grandmother used to say kindness should always be returned." Adrian smiled. "Mine used to say the same." As Emma drove away, Marco quietly stepped out from the shadows. "You've completely forgotten this is supposed to be a test." Adrian watched Emma's car disappear into the night. "No, I haven't." Marco smiled knowingly. "Then why does it look like you're the one being tested now?" For the first time since beginning his secret experiment, Adrian had no answer. The following Monday began like every other day. Employees rushed to the lobby carrying laptops and coffee cups, while Adrian quietly repaired an electrical panel near the reception desk. But today, everything was about to change. Emma arrived carrying 2 lunch containers, smiling as she walked toward him. "I made extra pasta again." Adrian smiled. "I was hoping you would." Before either of them could sit down together, a black luxury convoy suddenly pulled up outside the building. 6 expensive SUVs stopped at the entrance. Everyone inside the lobby turned to look. Men wearing black suits stepped out one after another. Each of them wore an earpiece and stood with military precision. Employees whispered nervously. "Who are they?" "Government." "No." "They look like private security." The glass doors opened. Marco entered first. Unlike usual, he wasn't wearing casual clothes. He wore a perfectly tailored black suit. Behind him walked more than 20 security officers. The entire lobby fell silent. Marco walked directly toward Adrian. Then, to everyone's complete shock, he lowered his head respectfully. "Good morning, boss." The room froze. Every employee stared. Emma blinked in confusion. "What?" Before anyone could speak, the company CEO hurried into the lobby. A man no employee had ever seen in person. Instead of greeting executives, he walked straight toward Adrian. then respectfully shook his hand. "Welcome back, Mr. Russo." Gasps echoed throughout the building. Mrs. Collins nearly dropped the files in her hands. Victoria's face turned completely pale. Emma looked from Adrian to Marco, then back again. Her voice barely came out. "Mr. Russo." Adrian slowly removed the faded maintenance jacket he had worn for 6 months. One of the security guards handed him a perfectly tailored black Italian suit. He quietly slipped into the jacket. The transformation happened in seconds. The tired maintenance worker disappeared. Standing before everyone was a powerful billionaire whose face had appeared on countless business magazines. Adrian Russo, owner of Carter Holdings, leader of the Russo family empire. The lobby remained completely silent. Emma couldn't move. "You," she whispered, "you own this company?" Adrian nodded. "I do." "And you've been pretending to be poor?" "Yes." Tears slowly filled Emma's eyes. "So everything was a lie?" Adrian stepped closer. "No, my name was the only lie. My feelings never were." Emma looked away. "You tested me." "I tested everyone." "Why?" His expression softened. "Because after years of being surrounded by people who loved my money, I wanted to know if someone could love the man instead." Emma shook her head. "You should have trusted people." "I stopped trusting people a long time ago." She remained silent. Around them, no one dared interrupt. Victoria suddenly stepped forward with an exaggerated smile. "Mr. Russo, I had no idea. I'd love to apologize over dinner." Adrian didn't even look at her. "No." She forced another smile. "There must be some misunderstanding." Adrian calmly turned toward the human resources director. "Terminate every employee who repeatedly bullied Emma." The lobby became completely silent again. Mrs. Collins looked horrified. "Sir, they deserve another chance." Adrian's voice remained calm. They had hundreds of chances. They simply never believed kindness mattered. Within minutes, several employees who had mocked Emma were escorted out of the building. Victoria cried. Others begged. Emma watched quietly. She didn't feel happy. She simply felt tired. After everyone left, only Adrian and Emma remained standing in the lobby. He looked at her carefully. "I suppose you hate me now." Emma sighed. "I don't hate you. You hurt me." Adrian lowered his eyes. "I know. I should have told you sooner." She nodded slowly. "But—" She smiled sadly. "I also understand why you did it." For several moments, neither of them spoke. Finally, Emma asked a question that had stayed in her heart for days. "When did you start caring about me?" Adrian smiled. "The first morning, when you dropped your files. You thanked the maintenance worker that everyone else ignored." Emma laughed quietly through her tears. "That? You smiled at me. You shared your lunch. You defended me. You gave me your respect before you knew my name." He looked directly into her eyes. "I've met queens, models, billionaires, but you're the first person who treated me like I mattered when you believed I had nothing." Emma's eyes filled with tears again. "You were never poor." "No, but I was lonely." For the first time, Emma understood. This wasn't a billionaire pretending to be poor for entertainment. This was a lonely man searching for one honest heart. Weeks later, Adrian organized a charity gala. Instead of inviting celebrities, he invited every employee's family. During the event, he walked onto stage. Thousands of guests looked toward him. Then Adrian reached for Emma's hand. She looked surprised. He smiled. "For years, I searched for someone who could see past my money. I finally found her." The ballroom erupted into applause. Emma blushed as Adrian gently placed a simple diamond ring in her hand. "You don't have to answer today," he said softly. "I've already found what I was looking for." "You." Emma looked around the room. Nobody was laughing anymore. Nobody was judging her weight. Nobody saw the plus-size woman they used to mock. They saw the woman who had changed the heart of one of the most powerful men in the country. With tears in her eyes, Emma smiled, then quietly slipped the ring onto her finger. The ballroom exploded with applause once again. As Adrian held her hand, he realized something priceless. The greatest fortune he had ever found was never hidden inside a bank account. It was hidden inside the heart of the only woman who loved him when she believed he had absolutely nothing. Adrian calmly turned toward the human resources director. Terminate every employee who repeatedly bullied Emma. The lobby became completely silent again. Mrs. Collins looked horrified. Sir, they deserve another chance. Adrian's voice remained calm. They had hundreds of chances. They simply never believed kindness mattered. Within minutes, several employees who had mocked Emma were escorted out of the building. Victoria cried. Others begged. Emma watched quietly. She didn't feel happy. She simply felt tired. After everyone left, only Adrian and Emma remained standing in the lobby. He looked at her carefully. I suppose you hate me now. Emma sighed. I don't hate you. You hurt me. Adrian lowered his eyes. I know. I should have told you sooner. She nodded slowly, but she smiled sadly. I also understand why you did it. For several moments, neither of them spoke. Finally, Emma asked a question that had stayed in her heart for days. When did you start caring about me? Adrian smiled. The first morning, when you dropped your files. You thanked the maintenance worker that everyone else ignored. Emma laughed quietly through her tears. That? You smiled at me. You shared your lunch. You defended me. You gave me your respect before you knew my name. He looked directly into her eyes. I've met queens, models, billionaires, but you're the first person who treated me like I mattered when you believed I had nothing. Emma's eyes filled with tears again. You were never poor. No, but I was lonely. For the first time, Emma understood. This wasn't a billionaire pretending to be poor for entertainment. This was a lonely man searching for one honest heart. Weeks later, Adrian organized a charity gala. Instead of inviting celebrities, he invited every employee's family. During the event, he walked onto stage. Thousands of guests looked toward him. Then Adrian reached for Emma's hand. She looked surprised. He smiled. For years, I searched for someone who could see past my money. I finally found her. The ballroom erupted into applause. Emma blushed as Adrian gently placed a simple diamond ring in her hand. You don't have to answer today, he said softly. I've already found what I was looking for. You. Emma looked around the room. Nobody was laughing anymore. Nobody was judging her weight. Nobody saw the plus-size woman they used to mock. They saw the woman who had changed the heart of one of the most powerful men in the country. With tears in her eyes, Emma smiled, then quietly slipped the ring onto her finger. The ballroom exploded with applause once again. As Adrian held her hand, he realized something priceless. The greatest fortune he had ever found was never hidden inside a bank account. It was hidden inside the heart of the only woman who loved him when she believed he had absolutely nothing.